Well, hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Music with Mr. D. In tonight's show, we plan to have a live interview with my good friend Larry Cool to talk about their just-released Everett and Cool collaboration CD, a compacted news segment on what's happening in our area, and an interview I recorded with Hudson music entrepreneur Briana Doyle. So, buckle up. Well, our show tonight is a bit tight-packed, and we do try to only eat up an hour of your time. So I'm going to compress the news portion this week. This is the week of St. Patrick's Day, and live music is breaking out all over. So check the websites and Facebook pages of your favorite venues for what is available. Here are some that we know about. Cunningham's Pub in Point Claire has a full schedule of great music. Starting tomorrow, I think, is when they begin their St. Patrick's celebrations, as does the Microbrasserie Cardinal in Hudson. They have a full week. In fact, on Friday, I think there are 2 performances on Friday from 2 different groups. So check out the websites and the Facebook pages for these venues, and you can see who's playing and when. It's certainly going to be a great St. Patrick's week. The Windsor Tavern in Vankleigh Kill features the Hallions on Friday. So this is what we do. Enjoy. Remember, only you can save live music. So if you can get out there and support the musicians who are performing the live music in our area, it will benefit both the venues and the musicians themselves, who have had a long dry spell, of course, with the COVID restrictions. So we're going to, we're waiting for Larry Cool to arrive in the studio. So we're going to just give a little shout out to our sponsors, and we'll be back.
Just want to take a moment of your time to give a shout out to some of our sponsors for the weekly podcasts. First on our list is the Vankleigh Kill Vineyard. Vankleigh Kill Vineyard produces a fine quality wine right here in Vankleigh Kill. They are a great sponsor of our musical activities, and we join them in the summer program Music in the Garden. Second on our list of sponsors is the Broken Kettle and Barkery. They're located on Main Street in Vankleigh Kill. They work together with us in great collaboration on a number of our projects. We hope that you would drop in and see them sometime. And finally, our third sponsor is BGD Tees. They are a local producer of customized t-shirts, golf shirts, hats, mugs, anything you can put your name on. BGD Tees can do it. Look them up on Facebook. You can find them, and their work is always well appreciated. And now, back to our show.
Okay, so there you have it. We're thankful to those 3 organizations for supporting us in Music with Mr. D. I think that Larry's having a little trouble logging into us, so we're going to skip over Larry for the moment and to try and bring him in here. And in the meantime, we'll bring in our future interview, which is an interview I recorded last week. Oh, there's Larry. Well, let's go with Larry as we originally planned. Let's just bring him in here. Hello there, Larry. Hello, Larry. Not hearing you. Want to try again there, Larry? We're still not hearing you. Nope. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to send Larry back to the green room, and we'll proceed with our interview with Briana, while Larry and I try and get this sound issue solved. So let's just remove Larry for a second, and we'll bring you into our interview with Briana. A special guest on Music with Mr. D is Briana Doyle. She's currently coordinating an online version of a songwriting circle that was operating prior to the COVID shutdowns, but she's much more than that. She's a Hudson, Quebec resident. She's a writer, editor, singer, guitarist, songwriter, and music organizer. She's a member of the group The Breeze and one half of Pagoda Starling. So welcome to Music with Mr. D, Briana.
Thanks very much for having me here today, Ken.
Good. Now that I've given our audience a good dose of your resume, perhaps you can correct any errors or add anything that I happen to have left out.
You had a pretty good summary. I think the one, if there was anything missing, it would just be that I also do digital marketing consulting with arts organizations in Canada. So I'm doing a lot of that work with some music related organizations, as well as others involved in theater and other things, which is a lot of fun.
Is that the work you're doing with Home Roots?
That's a piece of it, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's related to my company Troubadours and Vagabonds Productions, which I co-own with Seiji, who's also my partner in Pagoda Starling.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, because I should probably remember I was involved in the Home Roots program here in Vankleek Hill, and so I noticed when I noticed you starting to publicize your activities there, it was kind of an interesting reconnection. So
yeah, they're a really great organization.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're a lot of fun too. I don't know how they're doing now, but when I was working with them, they were a little chaotic. But but that may be just the music business, right?
I think it's a trait of many artists and artistically minded people.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've given our audience a good dose of your resume, but before we dig into all of your hats in detail, sometimes our audience likes to get to know the person that we have as a guest a little bit more personally. Have you always been a Hudson resident, a Hudson area resident?
No, I moved here from British Columbia a few years ago now. I think it's coming up on 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With all the cold and snow we've had this winter, there are people shaking their heads out there now. I can hear them all shaking, moving from BC to Quebec.
It was a really great move, though. And as much as, it gets cold and snowy, I like that there's so much opportunity for winter recreation here. In British Columbia and Vancouver, especially, it rains a lot. And, so as much as it is much less snowy, when it comes to outdoor activities and all of that, I actually find there's more to do outside in the winter here than in Vancouver, and as it turns out, I really love skating outside and cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, all these things that, I never got to try when I lived in BC.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we have a convert.
Yeah, I like it. No regrets.
Yeah. So when did your interest in music take hold?
It was after, well, it's kind of a complicated question. I have always been a musical person. I was the kind of child that annoyed everybody because I go wandering the house singing songs and, without thinking about it. So my sister was always telling me to shut up and all of that. And, I sang in choirs and I took piano lessons and guitar lessons as a child and all of that. But I never connected with other musical people really. And I never really thought about performing. It was just something that I did for me. And I'd sit down at the piano and I would make up tunes and things like that. And sometimes I'd even sing along to them, but I never thought of myself as a songwriter either. I think part of it is, like there's this saying, you have to see it to be it. And I didn't see those kinds of influences. People I knew just didn't do those things. And so, I didn't have any ambition to be a rock star or anything, and I still don't. That's not why I do it. I just like the process. And so anyway, all of that is a long way of saying that I didn't really do anything visible in music until after moving here. I even stopped singing for a long time. And, I started again after my children were born. I would sing to them. And I was reminded at how much I enjoyed singing, because I guess I'd heard Shut Up enough times that I started listening. And here in Hudson, it's a very vibrant musical community. And one big difference that didn't exist back in Vancouver was the presence of open jam groups, acoustic jam groups in local pubs and restaurants here, where anybody could show up and sing along or strum along with their guitar. And when I heard about them and I was curious, but I felt very intimidated to show up. I didn't think of myself as the kind of person that belonged there. But eventually I did come, and I just fell in love with it. And I dusted off my guitar, realized I had completely forgotten how to play everything. I couldn't even play 3 chords in a row. But I started showing up every week, and and playing just the chords I could remember. And the other people in the group were very kind, and they would give me a little help about fingering and how to strum along and how to do this and how to do that. And and after a while, I started to kind of become more confident with it. I started showing up at some open mics. And eventually I got the thought in my head that it would be fun to get together with a couple of the players that I felt the best connection with musically. And and learn a few tunes together and actually practice them and try and arrange them, because you don't really get to do that at jam. It's very free flowing. And that was how The Breeze began. It started out, and I invited Brian Ito, Brian Bowser, and Seiji Gutierrez to get together. Brian Ito and I kind of conspired on this. We had a conversation first, and I was like, do you think it'd be cool to do this? Do you think that anybody'd want to? He was like, yeah, I think so. So we decided together that, Brian and Seiji would be some good folks to bring in. And
I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to get back to your band thing. I got a couple of other questions. Were you a musical family? Like, was it always, other than you walking around the house singing, was there other music going on in your house growing up?
Not a lot. We didn't own a record player. I didn't have any albums or bands. I heard music on the radio. My mom is a singer, like kind of an amateur in the best way. Like, she loves to sing. And she could play piano. She also plays a little bit of guitar, although not much anymore. But no performers or anything in my family. Just
but there was music around.
There was music around. There was a guitar around. There was a piano around. All of those things. Yeah. Yeah.
Who would you blame as your musical influences?
Who would I blame? In terms of artists, I'd say I'm very influenced by the 60s and 70s folk artists. That's even the more modern music, the kinds I like best are the kinds that throw back to that era. What I appreciate is the strong lyricism and the storytelling. I appreciate the strong vocals as well. Just the musicality and the singability with it. Like, I really like the kinds of songs that people can sing to. And that's because I'm a singer and because I was the kind of person who liked to walk around singing songs. It doesn't resonate with me when there's music that is so heavily produced that there's nothing you can participate in,
Right. And now you're also a writer and an editor. And how do you see the merger of the two between the writing, the print writing or that type of writing you do, and the songwriting? Do you see there's a confluence, or are they two separate tracks?
I actually do see that there's quite a lot of overlap. I used to write a little bit of fiction long ago, and that kind of got shelved. Well, because of the professional writing, it kind of occupied my brain. But I think there's a number of things that I've learned technique-wise that have been very helpful for songwriting. Sometimes like even grammar level details and things like this, but also the ability to detach yourself from what you've written and not be too emotionally invested in those particular words or that particular structure. Thinking about writing in terms of structure and seeing opportunities to rearrange things and being open to the idea that there might be a better word, or that maybe the thing you wrote first is not the thing that is that most accurately communicates what you want to say. So that knack for rewriting and to deconstruct writing is something that I do professionally, and I definitely bring to my songwriting as well. And little things like when I was very early in my writing career, I was very resistant to the idea of learning about structure and form, and like I felt like that would box me in. But writing professionally has taught me that it's immensely helpful to have an outline, and and that learning to write to an outline is a skill in itself, and that in fact, instead of boxing you in, it actually creates a lot of freedom, because as soon as you know where those boundaries are, then you know what to push back against, or you discover new territory that's maybe more creative and interesting than if you just let yourself do whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the well, without getting into all the technical details, so everybody can steal your secrets. Um, what's your approach to your songwriting? Like, how would you say that you go after it? I mean, you've talked a little bit about the confluence, I guess, again with your technical writing, but what approach do you take? Like, does it start with, "Oh wow, that's a good line. I'm going to write a song about that," or that's what my friend Karen Moran does all the time. You know, she'd be sitting in a coffee shop and hear somebody say something, and boom, it becomes a song. You know, so,
Yeah, it's a real mix. I'd say I tend to lean more heavily on lyrics and melody, and music for me supports that. So um, often I get either some lyric lines in my head that, or I hear something like you mentioned, Karen does, that just kind of captures me. I just like the sound of it. I like the rhythm of it. I like what that does inside my head. Um, and I capture that as much as possible if I get those moments of inspiration. But I think one area of focus that I'm trying to get to as well is not to be completely reliant on inspiration. And again, this is something I borrow from my professional writing. You know, I really like creating prompts for myself. And I'd say that I'm at my most productive when I do that, which is one of the reasons why I like being a part of a songwriting group, because it gives me that kind of that push when I don't have that flash of
mhm.
inspiration. When you get those moments of inspiration, songs can come incredibly fast. I've had some where it's like pretty much the whole song was written in less than an hour. Like, I had the idea, I started writing it, everything just came, and the song really didn't change all that much from that first moment. But that's not most of my songs. Most of my songs take a little more time to develop. They take a little bit more attention, and I'd say I often do bring kind of an analytical approach to it. Like, it starts with inspiration. I get an idea for a song, and then I deconstruct it and I go, okay, well, you know, uh, where can I take this? What's the story I'm trying to tell in this song? I'll do a lot of free writing and intentionally try and identify, you know, kind of sense bound memories, like what does it smell like, what does it taste like, what do I see, what do I hear, all of those things, and then pull from that to get more content for the song so
Sure.
that it feels grounded.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, okay, so let's go back and talk about the breeze. uh, so you've got the two Brians, Bowser and Ito,
Yes.
and Seiji.
Yeah.
And so how long has that group of four been together?
um I'm trying to remember now. I think we started playing together in 2018, I want to say. Um, we've been on hiatus since the pandemic, and we're still on hiatus right now. But I absolutely love those guys. I love playing with them, and I love our sound together. So I'm happy to play with them any chance I get in any configuration I get.
How would you describe the if somebody said, well, what kind of music does it, so people always ask this question, what kind of music does the Breeze play? So how would you answer that question?
It's a very melodic acoustic folk rock, is how I think of it. I think what defines us is that we sing with three-part harmony. We've got, Seiji and Brian both playing guitar, and their guitars play their styles are very contrasting, and also very complementary. And then, of course, we've got Brian Ito on the drums, kind of holding down the beat. For me, I bring vocals, and I also play a bit of mandolin. So the approach that comes together, it's a very fun group to play in. We play a lot of storytelling kind of songs. We play a lot of stuff with that takes advantage of the harmonies, and that takes advantage of the great guitar skills and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a fun group to watch. So, and that's usually an indication that the players are having fun doing it. So it's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
always always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always
Um,
look forward to our practices. We'd spend most of it laughing.
yeah. So is that going to get started up again as things are opening up?
I'm
Um,
not sure. Since the pandemic, everybody's become involved in other projects as well. And, I think that certainly on my end, I'd be very happy to join up again and play anytime. But I know, as we were discussing with you earlier, sometimes you have to make some choices. And, I know Brian Ito's very busy gigging lately with the times two. They call it times two
mhm.
plus one. And, Brian Bowser's got a duo happening, Martin Gibson with Jean Monpetit. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And I think Brian's also doing an instrumental duo as well with another local player. Uh, there's a lot of demands on everybody's time.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're also one half of Pagoda Starling.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how would you describe the difference between Pagoda Starling and what you're doing with the Breeze?
I think the biggest thing is, for Pagoda Starling, it's really it's really more of a vehicle for writing original music.
Hmm.
Um, it's not so much that we were opposed to doing that with the Breeze, but we tended to play more covers, and that was, we were gigging and looking for the opportunity to play those kinds of shows. And writing original music is kind of a whole other thing. As Pagoda Starling, we do also do some covers too, but our focus is much less on playing lots of gigs, and more about playing the right kinds of gigs. We like to look for opportunities to play where it's welcome to play original music. Not unfortunately, a lot of the places that have bands prefer it if you show up and you play Mustang Sally,
A
and
hundred
that's
times.
100 times,
Yeah.
Mustang Sally and Wagon Wheel, and that's kind of it. And that's not us, and that's not
Yeah.
who we want to be. That got nothing against cover bands at all, and I love playing a good cover, but it's really nice to have more of that, I guess, an artistic
Hmm.
approach that is about creating something new, something that's all you, as opposed to interpreting somebody else's creations.
Yeah. 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 It's a hard if you want to be busy gigging, it's a hard line to try and break apart.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people who do original music also have a side project that's a cover band project.
Sure. Yeah.
Seiji's just started playing with a new band as well called the Killing Moon, and they're doing kind of like 80s cover mainly, stuff like the Echo and the Bunnymen and all of that. So they've just started and they're playing a gig soon. And
And that's
you
a
know,
reconnect for him, right?
that's a reconnect for him.
Yeah,
Yeah, he played
yeah,
with those guys way back in the day, and so it's kind of a family reunion type project.
yeah. Well, that'll be fun. Eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever perform solo?
I never have. No.
Mm.
Aside from a couple of like open mics, but yeah, not so much. Um, I like being a part of a group, um, and so I'm less interested in performing solo. And I think also, although my guitar skills have improved quite a lot, I think of myself as a singer first, and I like having the support of a guitarist or of a band behind me so that I can focus on what I do really well.
Yeah, it's a little easier to 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 connect with what your real job. You don't have to worry about the little riffs in between, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got certain things I can do on guitar, but I am also limited, and um, yeah, and I think, if you think of yourself as a guitarist and you're willing to invest the time to become a really great guitarist, like anybody can do it. I don't have the time to become a really great guitarist, so I'm going to settle for being a good enough guitarist.
right, right. Of course, I'm familiar with your songwriting circle, having
Mhm.
participated in the early days of the songwriting circle. You want to talk a little bit about that, and then how it morphed into this online version?
Yeah. So in the early days of the songwriting circle, I started it because I was scared to death to play any of my songs in front of anybody at all, like to the point where my hands would shake so hard that I couldn't play my guitar. And um, and I knew I needed to get over that. And the only way to do that is to play in front of people. And knowing myself too, knowing that I'm better in a group. I also wanted to give myself the kick in the pants to write, and I knew if it was just me alone. For one thing, I'd write songs and never play them for anybody. And for another one, I wouldn't write that many songs because there's always something else to grab your attention and pull you away. And if there was one thing I had learned from the cycle with jams and watching, how that really helped me to grow as a musician, and to develop musicianship as well. Having that regular date to just show up and
Mm,
and be with other people who share your interest and express what it is that's in you to express. That by itself does so much to keep you motivated and to keep you trying and to just remind yourself, like, yeah, that's what you're trying to do here. So that the in-person group that we had before the pandemic met monthly, and every month I would come up with a prompt, like a kind of a challenge. And again, that's partly because for my own benefit, I find I get writer's block often, and it helps a lot to have a prompt.
mhm.
Sometimes you rebel against the prompt, but that by itself, that
Sure,
works
yeah,
just fine, right?
yeah.
Or if you have a better idea, no problem. But for those times when you're not inspired, it really helps to have something to start with. So I would come up with, like, I think the first one that we did was write a 2-chord song.
Hmm.
We had other ones that it was, we had one where everybody wrote a song with the same chord progression. And it was amazing because everybody wrote a completely different song, even
Sure.
though the chord progression was exactly the same.
Yeah, it was,
So,
and full disclosure, of course, for our audience, I was a part of that group, and
yeah,
I still play the song that I wrote for that challenge in my repertoire when I'm performing solo. So, yeah,
yeah.
so it certainly does. The kick in the pants was certainly there.
Yeah, and I found that like the kinds of songs that would come out of those prompts were so different from anything I thought I would write.
Hmm.
Um, which is a big part of what I really enjoy about songwriting is how it does sometimes kind of shake loose these ideas and these melodies and these things inside you that you didn't even know were there.
Sure. If I remember correctly, that particular one with the same chord progression, and we won't mention the chord progression, but but mine was kind of an Americana song. There were a couple of ballads, and didn't Jeffrey do a reggae thing with that?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, as you say, you come up with all kinds of different things with just a simple thing. Here's your chord progression, do something, and you get that kind of variety to it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. So yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly it. And when the pandemic hit, we tried taking that group online, but at the time we were all very inexperienced with Zoom. Things have changed a lot in the last couple of years, and we got blocked by how bad the sound was for people to play what they'd been working on, and and I think at the time we were all just so shocked, and we also didn't know how long this was going to drag on too,
sure.
and so we just kind of put it to bed for a while, and I kept writing just on my own and with Seiji as well. um, and what changed and why I kind of decided to give the online group another try was, in the last year or so, I took a couple of online songwriting courses and some other online courses as well, and I was able to see how Zoom could be a really powerful platform for that kind of learning. And it also gave me some examples of like what works well and what doesn't work so well when it comes to songwriting specifically, and kind of discussion and learning around that on Zoom. So I felt like I was better equipped to design a program that was going to be useful for people, and that would be meaningful, because that was the big thing. I it's not worth anybody's time if it doesn't feel useful and meaningful.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've been through our first month now with this new group. We're now meeting weekly instead of monthly. That was another takeaway that I had from another songwriting group. I did a session in January, and it was a weekly session. I thought at first that would be too frequent, and I was like, I don't know if I can find time for that and everything. But I found that when the session ended, I felt I really missed it. I really was looking forward to that weekly date to
Mhm.
put my attention on songwriting and to practice those techniques and to talk with other songwriters, and others in the group were feeling the same way. And so that was the nudge I needed to say, okay, let's do this thing. So actually three of the women from that group are all in the online group that we've started since. um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it probably helps too. I think Zoom made a few little tweaks to how their program worked that that got rid of some of those lags and delays and things too, right? That's a
Yeah,
big help.
you can't have two people play together because there's too much delay,
Hmm.
but there you can adjust the sound settings so that when somebody's singing and playing a guitar, it doesn't sound like they're underwater anymore. Like it was really, really bad a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
and now it's still not the same as being in the room, but you can at least hear what somebody is singing, and it sounds pretty good. So
sure.
certainly good enough for our workshopping purposes.
Yeah, and you've introduced themes to the weekly or to the sections or something, right?
Yeah, so one change that I made with this group is I've become a lot more interested. In the beginning, like I said, I was brand new with songwriting, and I was just looking for motivation and like the courage to try, right? And so that was really the focus of it for me, and that was why I picked the themes I did, and all of that was to to write something, anything. My interest now is a little bit more on technique and refining approach,
Hmm.
various approaches, and trying different approaches in songwriting. So, the format that we're working in now, generally we spend the first hour doing a bit of a show and tell, talking about whatever we're working on, playing examples, sharing lyrics snippets. If you're struggling, it's an opportunity to ask for help from other people. And then we take a break, and we spend the second hour talking about a particular aspect of songwriting. So we've talked about, at the very first session was about goal setting in a songwriting context. And we've actually been doing some like homework as well in between the sessions, and the homework kind of fuels the show and tell for the next week, right? Mm-hmm. So, talking about what it is that you're trying to accomplish as a songwriter and trying to get specific about what you can do to move closer to your goals. We've talked a bit about sense-bound writing and different techniques for getting some of that detail that you need to make a song come alive. And we've also gone a bit into song plots, and and that's kind of more in that outlining for songs, getting into what kind of a song are you writing, and and giving yourself a bit of a container for that. And things like writing songs from a title was another exercise that we did. And we just started on talking about collaboration. So within our group, except for me and Seiji and Yannick, who's one of our members, he's a lyricist. The others in the group had never really collaborated with somebody before. And even Yannick and Seiji, they feel like they're still kind of beginning with that. They're still learning how to do it. I've had a little bit more chance to collaborate with people. And I think I also come to it from a different perspective because of the professional writing I do, where, I'm often interacting with other people and, getting feedback on my writing. Right. Mm-hmm. So we did some exercises to experiment with that, and that went over very well as well. The last session that we had, we invited Brian Gallagher, another local songwriter, to come and be a guest speaker for us. We basically just asked him about what he's learned about, recording and releasing music independently, and also, how he manages to be so prolific as well as a writer. I think he said he's released 8 albums of original music, and he just recently released one as well, which was kind of the reason why I asked him to come and sit in, because most of us in our group, are working towards releasing, sure, music, and haven't really done too much of that yet.
Brian was our guest 2 episodes ago, right around the release time of his most recent CD, so we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that. When we were doing the Songwriting Circle live, it was kind of open ended. Do I remember correctly what you're doing online? Like, you set a certain number of weeks to it or something, or am I mistaken there?
I set it up at first as I think it was a 4 or 5 week session. It was, every week and in the month. I guess it was in February that I started it. And I did that because I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to an open-ended session. And I thought I would just try it as a contained number of sessions. But then we got to the end of the session, and everybody agreed that, that the sessions were meaningful, and that we liked the feeling of it. We were looking forward to the next one. So we decided to continue with that. So, so we're continuing to meet on Sunday mornings, and, and I think the guest speaker experience went over very well as well. So I think we'll do that again, and just keep exploring. A lot of it is just giving yourself permission to be curious.
Yes, right. And step out there.
And step out there, and and to talk shop with other people who also share this strange interest. Mm-hmm. It's
it's one of the things that I found out of the group when I was participating is that the stuff that I was worried about, I found out that everybody else was worried about it too, or at least some people were worried about it too, and so it gives you a little bit more comfort to stretch your own eyeballs or whatever it is, when you know that you're not the only one that's struggling with that one darn word that just doesn't fit in that line,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, what comes next for Briana? What else are you going to be doing?
There's lots of stuff coming on. I've got a lot more of my consulting work and clients lined up coming this year. There's a lot of really cool projects happening where potentially happening as well. So that's going to keep me busy. I book music at the Cardinal Brewery as well, and so there's also part of that band discovery. I'm working on getting the material recorded for the first EP for Pagoda Starling. So that's also a big project that's underway. We've got all the songs we need. It's just getting them recorded and arranged how we like them. And, and we've been doing that ourselves from home. And so there's a big learning curve associated with that as well. But we've got a couple of tracks that are pretty much ready to be released, I think. If we can just stop ourselves from tweaking.
That's right.
And then we'll have hopefully some gigs coming up over the summer and in the fall. I haven't really been trying that hard to book them at the moment. I haven't really been out there yet, mostly because my attention has been more on the recording and songwriting side. So it just hasn't really been as much of a priority, but but it is nice to play live, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll have some opportunities to do that as well over the coming months.
Yeah, great. I've been asked to coordinate a music program over the summer for the Arbor Gallery here, so we'll be in touch with you on that, because they're looking for a weekly program of just the kind of music you and Seiji play. So
nice.
I'll be talking to you about that very shortly. We're still trying to work out the actual whens and hows of the whole thing, but you're certainly on my list. You're certainly on my list for that. So
yeah, and one other project that I'm working on right now is developing a map of venues in Quebec that are friendly to English language artists. So this was something that I had never really thought about as a need until I went to Contact East. It's a music conference for presenters, like arts presenters and festival organizers and things. This is in the Maritimes. It was in where was it? Moncton was where it was. And when I was speaking to the artists there, every single one of them said that when they go on tour from the Maritimes, if they stop in Quebec at all, they stop in Montreal, and they don't really know where to go, and they're really intimidated because it's hard to find that information online. A lot of the venues that are friendly to English artists have French names, and their websites are in French because it's the law here. So you don't know until you know. And so I've started doing that, and Seiji and I just had a conversation today with an artist from the Maritimes, and there's a few others that are interested in getting some help to book some shows in venues out this way as well. So that's another kind of project that is in the works to try to create a resource for independent artists to be able to find small venues that are in places that do have audiences that want to hear from English artists. Sure. There was one thing that I didn't know before moving to Quebec, is that there are many historically Anglophone communities in Quebec. And so although by percentage, the population is very small of English speakers, they tend to concentrate in pockets like in Hudson. And, and so that means that there are actually quite a lot of opportunities for artists to find places to play to English audiences here, even though it's very much a minority community.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much for giving me some of your time, as busy as you are. It's always nice to talk to you and to keep up with all that you're doing, and I'm sure our audience is going to really appreciate learning a little bit more about Briana Doyle and Pagoda Starling and all the rest of it. And again, thanks very much for being a part of my little adventure here. So,
thanks very much.
I'm going to end it here, and then I want to talk to you a little bit more. So
sure.
Okay, so today's special guest. Too many buttons here and not enough fingers. I see that Larry has come back into the studio, and let's just make sure that we can hear him, because that's what's going to be very important. Larry, can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Thank you.
Oh, good,
Thank you.
good.
I'm hoping that problem was at your end.
it's solved now. I guess I who knows.
Yeah, of course, of course. Hey, listen, what I want to do, I want to talk to you about this fantastic CD that you and Frank have put out, but I'd like to get it started, especially for the people who perhaps don't know too much about your music, by hearing one of the tunes that appears on that CD. So I'm just going to play it, and we'll get to chat about it as soon as it's done. Here we go.
All of my life, I've been waiting for you to come true. Saving my heart to get to one like you. Wanting you the way I do, I will be everything I can be. If I can hold you for the rest of the night and be with you for the rest of my life. Missing you the way I do, I will do everything I can do. If I can stand with you at the end of the day, lie with you at the end of the night. Right from the start, I gave my heart to you. For laughing and loving, now only your heart will do. Wanting you the way I do, I will do everything I can do. If I can hold you for the rest of the night, be with you for the rest of my life. Missing you the way I do, I will do everything I can do. If I can stand with you at the end of the day, lie with you at the end of the night. Wanting you the way I do, I will be everything I can be. If I can hold you for the rest of the night and be with you for the rest of my life. Missing you the way I do, I will do everything I can do. If I can stand with you at the end of the day, lie with you at the end of the night, stand with you at the end of the day, lie with you at the end of the night.
That's a great song. It's one of my favorites in your repertoire, Larry.
Was it just me, or because the audio was not a good
clipping.
representation of the recording.
It
It was
was
stopping, and anyone who heard it, let me assure you, if you go to iTunes, it's on the track, it's on time. There's no bumping
Yeah.
around.
It's clipping. I think I've got a bigger show on here tonight than my computer
Oh,
can
maybe.
handle, and so that's yeah. I was clipping at this end, clipping at this end at all. How old is that song now? Because I've heard you play it many many times.
Oh, it's pretty old. It's many, many years old. I'm afraid to say. It was written probably 10 or 15 years ago. Well,
Oh
let's
wow,
see. How long have I been married? Actually, whoa. Okay, it's almost 30 years old.
scary place to go. That
Well, it's an
yeah.
interesting song because the guitar is tuned to an open G chord,
Aha.
which makes the
Yeah.
bottom end just resonate so nicely on an acoustic guitar.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No, I really do enjoy it because, as I say, I've heard you play it quite a few times now, and I really do enjoy it. So, how did this CD? Let's back that up a little bit. How did this collaboration with you and Frank get going?
Well, Frank and I have been playing music together since high school. And just before, he's written a lot of music, and I have written a lot of songs. And just before the pandemic, we started tracking these songs. And then, so we came to my house where I have a home studio, and we started laying down the bed tracks, the bass, and the rhythm guitars. And then COVID hit. So we had to do a lot of stuff remotely. I would send track on this particular tune. It's Brianito doing all of the percussion. So I sent him the tracks, and he put his tracks down, sent them back to me, and it was really getting into the final stages just before the COVID hit, and then we couldn't continue. Then we had a break in the COVID, so we could be together again, and I had my son come and put the drums on, except for the ones that Brianito did. And then we had COVID again, which which gave us a chance to listen to it and fix things we didn't like, because we were forced to step away from it for a while. So when we could get back to the final mixing, we found there were some areas we were less than happy with, and we
Yeah.
had to go back and fix it.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a great CD. It's actually this is the first CD that you and Frank have put out together. Am I correct?
Just two of us, yes. We had done
Yeah.
one before with In Time when we had Jeff Waters with us, and of course COVID kind of broke that up. So Frank
Yeah.
lived in St. Lazare, he lived alone, so it was possible to do a little bit more together.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
this is our first effort as a team.
And it's quite an energetic effort. There's what 14 tunes on that CD.
Yes, there's 14 tunes.
That's one of the bigger CDs that we see these days with 14 songs.
What we thought at our age, we may never have the energy to do another one. So
Okay.
so
Good
let's
call.
get it all out there right as soon as we can.
Yeah. Good call. So the music is available on Spotify.
It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on Amazon, it's on YouTube.
So people can go listen to it there.
They can go listen to
download
it.
it,
They
buy
can
it.
download it. And we have some actual physical CDs being printed that I expect them to arrive tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And then the idea was we would have something to sell at a show.
Sure. Yeah.
And also, when we try to get live gigs, a lot of places would say, "Well, where can we hear you? What have you done?" So,
Yeah.
so that's why it's not hard to get music up anymore. Once you have it recorded, you can. It's not very expensive to upload it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The other song that you sent me to accompany this interview is Belvedere Boulevard Blues. Where does that one come from?
That comes from Two Mountains, from Belvedere Boulevard and Two Mountains. It's
I had that part
it's a
guessed.
it's a Frank song, and it was about when I knew him back then. He was, I guess, a big love of his life in it. kind of came to an end, and that's just him thinking about the breakup of this really great romance.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Okay, well that's super. I just wanted to take a few minutes in the show tonight to give you the chance to talk about that CD.
Well, Ken, I'd just like to say though, I'm sorry I interrupt you, but like I really think it's great what you're trying to do, and I hope that people will get out and support live music and support local artists. There's an awful lot of talent here, and we really appreciate the effort that you make to popularize it and get it out there.
Well, thank you very much. That's kind of my hope and desire that if at least one person goes out to a show that wouldn't normally go to a show, then I've done my job here. So thank you very much for that recognition. So thank you for your time tonight. I'm going to ride us out on Belvedere Boulevard Blues and hope that we don't get nearly as much clipping as we did before. Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing you soon.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Looking down the train at the sully, sullen faces, I think about when to your subtle, sunny graces. These 2 years past have been a summertime. I look forward to nothing now that you're not mine. And if I had an answer to choose, I'd say you're the reason for these blues. And every day seems so much of just the same thing. Every night I see that time is just a wasting. And you've moved on and time's been good to you, and I'm left hollowed out with nothing new. And if I had the answer to choose, I'd say you're the reason for these blues. This break took so much time 'cause I ignored all your signs till it came a second-hand news that my heart tried to refuse. I heard your name attached to some other guy, and all I wanted to do was cry. What was I to do? Say you're the reason for these blues. Belvedere Boulevard, your memories, they still haunt me. Belvedere Boulevard, your great old pavement, it still taunts me. I'll walk to that street for these blues. Belvedere Boulevard blues. Oh, you're the reason for these blues. Belvedere Boulevard blues.
Well, we apologize for the sound quality, the clipping, etc. I can guarantee you, having listened to the CD a couple of times already, the quality on the actual recording is far better than what you're hearing there. So if you go to Spotify for sure, look up Everett Cool Collaboration, and you can listen to the entire CD and keep track of what we're doing here, and when those actual little round discs are available from Everett Cool, we can let you know where they are and how to get them. And please continue to support Everett Cool Collaboration. Larry Cool is a solo artist, and all of the musicians that are performing live in the Western Quebec, Eastern Ontario, and Laurentians area. We hope that you will get out, enjoy the live music, and have a good time while you're supporting venues and the artists that present the music. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We'll be back again next Monday night, and check in with our SACN Music Facebook page to find out a little bit more about what the show next week is going to be all about. Thanks again.